Hello and welcome. This is the recording for the official sample practice paper 1 for the Service Request Management Practice exam. There are two official sample practice papers available to you. These are available to you in your e-learning access. We also have, apart from this recording, the online simulation for these sample papers in your e-learning access. And you can even download the PDF formats for the sample papers and their answer explanations. Firstly, about our company, One World Training. We are a global training, business simulation, and training company having our offices in the USA, the UK, the Netherlands, India, Malaysia, UAE, South Africa, and many other countries globally. We provide training in IT, business management, projects management, ISO standards, GDPR, and many other topics for individuals and organizations. We deliver our courses in 5 different ways. It can be public classroom based, or online from home or work, or e-learning, or a mix of e-learning along with support available for you if you need that, or at the user's location that is on-site for both private and government organizations. We are an authorized training center and endorsed by leading global professional bodies. And you can see at the bottom some of the endorsed logos and the courses logos that we offer. Firstly, about the exam style, the nature of the exam, that is, which is applicable for the both sample papers that we will practice in these recordings. It is going to be a 30-minute exam. If you are writing the exam in a language other than your spoken language, you get 8 minutes additional, and that is 25% additional time. The exam system will detect that based on your profile when you register for your exam. There will be 20 questions. All are multiple choice. There is no negative marking. All questions carry the same mark, 1 mark each, that is. And all questions being multiple choice with 4 given options, you need to select one option from the 4. It is also possible that in some questions you have to select 2 options, and the combination of the 2 options will be the correct answer. But at the end, you will always have 4 options to pick from and one of them to select for the correct answer. And to pass the exam, you need to score at least 13 correct or more. And it is a closed book exam. It is online, proctored by an invigilator from PeopleCert. So let us practice these 20 questions in the official sample paper 1. We begin with question number 1. What activity is not part of the service request review and optimization process? This is one of the 2 processes in this practice. Each process has several activities. So the options here are A, reviewing metrics related to service requests, B, registering suggested improvements to service request models, C, communicating the updated service request models to stakeholders, or D, enacting the procedures to fulfill the request. I'm going to give you a few moments for you to think and reflect on the correct answer. And after that, I will reveal the answer and explain that. So the process name is clear. It is the service request review and optimization process, which has several activities. And if you look at option 1, it is part of the service request records and reports analysis activity in the service request review and optimization process. Option B is also part of the same process, and it is part of the service request model improvement initiation activity. Option C is also an activity in this process, communicating the updated service request models to stakeholders. This is part of the service request model update communication activity. Therefore, the correct answer would be the last one, enacting the procedures to fulfill the request. This is actually an activity from another process, which is the service request fulfillment control process, and not the service request review and optimization process, in which the system controls the flow of procedures and scripts invoked to fulfill the request. The next question, number 2. What management practice is involved in providing users with descriptions of the service requests available to them? A. Problem management. B. Incident management. C. Change enablement. Or D. Service catalog management. While the previous question requires a lot more memory recall and understanding, this one is more straightforward. It is about providing users with descriptions. Therefore, we can safely say it will be the option D, service catalog management. And it is important to ensure that the requests are correctly described in the request catalog um, and that the catalog is available to users. And this is achieved in conjunction with the service catalog management practice. Question number 3. Managers of the teams involved in the service request management practice participate in defining requirements for the software tools supporting the practice. What other role is involved in defining these requirements? A. The software tool vendor. B. Service level manager. C. Practice owner. Or D. Service guardian. Option A, tool vendor, would not be correct. They are not involved in the definition of requirements. Again, the requirement should be based on the needs of the organization. And normally the owners of the service request management practice and the managers of the team involved in this practice should define the requirements and interact with other teams and practices of the service provider to ensure that the required tools are procured, implemented, and used in an optimal manner. Therefore, for the same reason, the service level manager will also not be involved, and there is no indication that service level management and service request management practices will use the same tools, and therefore B is incorrect. Option C, practice manager, would be correct. Practice owner here. So the practice owner, the practice manager, the other managers of the team involved, they will be involved to define the requirements. Service guardian, the last option, this is part of the service integration and management, which is a different topic. And there is no indication about service integration in the scenario. Question 4. What should the service request management practice handle in order to support the agreed quality of a service? A. Requests that initiate an agreed service action. B. Requests for design of a new service. C. Requests to resolve an interruption to an agreed service. Or D. Requests to determine the root cause of an incident. This is an easier question. Again, should be straightforward. The service request management practice will handle requests that initiate an agreed service action. Therefore, A would be correct. It will handle the all predefined user-initiated service request. And a request comes from a user or a user's authorized representative that initiates a service action which has been agreed as a normal part of service delivery, not as a degraded part of service delivery. A request for design of a new service is not part of the service request management practice, and we can ignore that one. Then, because this can come more like a value stream input, this is usually coming from a customer based on the customer's needs rather than service request management. Option C, request to resolve an interruption. This is more coming from incident management and connected with incident resolution. Option D, determining the root cause, is concerned with problem management. So A would be correct. Question 5. A service provider supports an international customer organization with users in many countries. The service provider aims to ensure high and consistent quality of request fulfillment for all users at all locations. How should the service provider use the workflow and collaboration system to support this objective? A, it should allow for a flexible and affordable super user role. B, it should offer a flexible measurement and reporting capability. C, it should offer convenient self-help capabilities. Or D, it should support creation and use of service request models. The aim here is to ensure high and consistent quality of request fulfillment for all users. And this is ensured by the service request models, and they should be supported by the automation system. Therefore, option D would be correct. Support creation and use of the service request models. Nevertheless, let's take a look at the first option, A. There is no indication of super users involved in the request fulfillment of the organization in this scenario, so we can ignore A. Option B, the measurement and reporting uh, can be definitely useful to improve the practice, but not related to the current situation. Option C, um, yeah, the practice should offer convenient self-help capabilities, but the scenario doesn't indicate anything related to this. Therefore, as explained before, the last option would be correct. The service, the request model should include activities, information flow, controls, and communications. And the automation system should allow for the creation, testing, and use of such request models. Question 6. What is not a main characteristic of a service request? A. A service request leads to a normal change. B. A service request leads to an agreed service outcome. C. A service request is initiated by a user or user representative. D. A service request is acted on by the service provider. It's a negative question, which is not a main characteristic of a service request. Option A is about a normal change, which is not so common in a service request. Therefore, A is quite a likely answer. Those service requests may initiate changes. These are usually standard changes and not normal changes. But sometimes it can be a normal change also, depending on the policies of the organization for service requests and the agreement with the customer. So A could be quite correct. Option B is a characteristic of a service request. And similarly, C and D are also proper characteristics or the main characteristics of service request. Therefore, A would be the correct answer because it is not a main characteristic. It can sometimes be. Question 7. What is a capability criterion for the service request management practice which is related to the information and technology dimension of service management? A. Communication solutions needed to fulfill service requests have been implemented. B. Service request fulfillment procedures are monitored to show their effectiveness. C. The third-party services need to fulfill service requests are available. Or D. Qualified human resources are available to manage service requests. The question pertains to the information and technology dimension. And if we observe carefully, each of these options connects with a specific dimension. For example, option B is about the value streams and processes because we see the word procedures there. Option C is about the partners and suppliers. We see the third-party services. Option D is about the organizations and people dimension. We see the qualified human resources there. Therefore, option A would be correct because it's about the communication solutions. And such solutions are always part of the information and technology dimension. Question 8. When service provider teams fulfill a service request, they need to control that all steps of the service request models are completed successfully. Which software tools help to perform this control? A. Social media. B. Publishing tools. C. Analysis and reporting tools. Or D. Monitoring and event management tools. Social media, option A, those tools are used to communicate the service models to users. Publishing tools also similar to communicate service models to users. The option C, analysis and reporting tools, they support the practice measurement and reporting, whereas option D, it is the monitoring and event management tools which help with the service request models execution and control. Therefore, D would be the correct answer.